Welcome to the Dr. Claudia Show. We're proud, happy, and thrilled that you've joined us. So come on in and sit down. Let's talk about your life and relationships with your family, friends, neighbors, coworkers, your boss. Nobody's off limits. I'm licensed psychologist Dr. Claudia McCulloch, your host, answering your questions, America. So give me a call, 833-400-5050. You can also go online at drclaudia.net. That's drclaudia.net. Click on the Ask Me button and send me a question. On Facebook, I'm at Dr. Claudia McCulloch, MCC, ULLOCH, cha-cha-cha. There's a CH at the end of that thing, or you'll never, ever find me. Well, this is a time of remembrance in our country. Unfortunately, remembrance of sorrow, not of anything happy. And there's a great program I learned about years ago. It's called the 911day.org. There's 9-11day.org. And what they encourage us to do is what's really called reparative work in the psychobabble profession. And that is do something good. Do something positive to offset the negative. People who suffer from depression are encouraged to go out and help others. And maybe what that does is reframe, put in a different perspective. You know what it's like to take a picture out of an old frame and put it into something snazzy. It just brings the whole set of memories associated with that picture alive. So when we reframe, what we do is maybe sometimes step back, sometimes step to the side, and we look at it again and say, okay, how can I make, some lemonade out of this? And so people are encouraged on 911 or 9/11 day to do something positive, to contribute to an organization that does work that you find to be very meaningful to you. Maybe you get out there and do something yourself, which is a theme that I have been beating the drum on for a while now in terms of these protests. It's one thing to get out into the street, and it's really kind of selfish, actually. Yes, I know. It's selfish to get out there, get all that attention, have your signs. And yes, I think at this point, since we've been having demonstrations for so long in this country, people really aren't paying attention to it anymore. Until you turn into the rioter, looting, let's burn it all down kind of activity. But if you do actually do something, and I said on a post on both of my Facebook pages that if you get out there and do something, that's really meaningful. Hey, you may not get a lot of attention for it. Maybe you're the kind of person who wants to be on the evening news. Maybe you're the kind of person who wants to make it personal. Now, veering away from that, I mentioned last week that my beloved brother died. And I received such an outpouring of love and support. And one of our former callers, somebody who had been calling into the show a little bit, he took a lot of time to say, gee, maybe you shouldn't have confronted that man. And I thought about it, and I said, I like to achieve positive change. That's a real goal of mine. Every day, I want to do something positive that changes the trajectory of my life or someone's life. And he said, maybe this guy couldn't be aware of how he behaved. And I thought to myself, well, hopefully I taught him a lesson or two, because we're all of us are carrying some kind of concrete bags that are invisible. And if you're going to be a Ken, as I learned, Ken is the male version of the Karen meme going along, the tattler, the take me to your manager kind of a woman. These folks need to stop monitoring other people's lives on these smaller issues. I mean, for heaven's sakes. But when I stood up to him, I want you to know something, Anthony. I couldn't control myself at that point. Emotions drive behavior. I was exhausted. I was overwhelmed with grieving, and he hadn't even passed yet. And sometimes when people pass away and they're so ill and suffering so much, it's a relief for everyone, including them, especially them. So I so appreciate you being worried about me and reminding me of how you called in and how the trajectory of your life changed after just those few minutes of helping you to reframe what you were experiencing and reframe it in a more positive way. And I love that you love and care about me. I hope that you sense that I love and care about you. I may not know you, but here's the thing. We are all ripples in this big ocean of humanity. If I make a splash and it helps you, maybe moves you a little bit further down the road, that's fantastic. That's what I'm looking for. That's the goal of what we do. And that is to help people jump to the next lily pad in the pond, making progress, moving forward. And I'm better now. He died on August 21st. And I wrote about him on my Facebook page, both my Dr. Claudia McCulloch Facebook page and on my personal page about him. And as we kind of come into the closing of this, he was drafted into the war in Vietnam about 10 minutes after he received his high school diploma. Within a year, he was in Vietnam flying Huey Cobra attack helicopters, but he started out as a door gunner. And if you know anything about what happened in that war, door gunners on Huey Cobra choppers had a life expectancy of about 15 seconds in a firefight. And he was also a mechanic. And then when he became a pilot, that was really where he found the work to be the most satisfying. He never talked about the war, except for the brief period of time that he was a prisoner of war, and that's a harrowing tale. And one of these days, when I can tell it without crying, I will share it with you. And I'll give you warning that I'll be sharing it next week, and I'll practice steeling myself against those powerful emotions. But he was heavily exposed to Agent Orange, and that's what killed him. And he died of liver cancer, which then spread to the lung, and you know how all that goes. And what I'm hearing this weekend, because we are remembering 9/11, is that every 2.5 days, someone who's been exposed to the pile or to all that dust, they're dying. They're dying 19 years later. My brother died 51 years later. Sweet, kind kid. Always came home with the wounded something or other, a bird, a cat, lizards. He was a tender soul. And he loved us and we loved him, and he was loved by his wife and his family, and he will be forever missed. But I am so grateful that he was given the honors that he deserved with a caisson funeral, playing the taps, folding the flag, that will eventually come into our home and be placed next to my father's on the mantle in our living room. So there is a lot of pain this time of the year, and it puts my pain, it reframes it in a different perspective. And I sure hope that helps some of you to move through whatever grief and sorrow, the Vietnam War, the Desert Storm, the Afghan, all the Middle Eastern wars, the losses you have experienced during the lockdown, just the general pain of life. We are all in this ocean together. Let's make a splash for the better. I'll be right back.
Dr. Claudia wants to hear from you. Ask your question. 833-400-5050. That's 833-400-5050. Or go online at drclaudia.net and click on the Ask Me button.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 800-506-6740. 800-506-6740. That's 800-506-6740.
What kind of career are you looking for? Do you dream of using your creative talents in the movie business? How about the advertising world? Or would you rather work in fashion? At Academy of Art University, we can help you get the art and design skills and experiences that employers want. Hundreds of top companies in the Bay Area and around the world have hired graduates from the Academy. You'll be trained by professional faculty members that have worked in the industry, so your education is practical and focused on what real-world companies want. You can get your degree at our San Francisco campus or anywhere online. Do what you want to do with your life. Call right now to get more information.
800-811-4169. 800-811-4169. 800-811-4169. That's 800-811-4169.
Welcome to the Dr. Claudia Show. Dr. Claudia is ready to answer your questions. Call now, 833-400-5050. Here's Dr. Claudia.
On the Dr. Claudia Show, we talk about the things that really matter, your life and your relationships. Thank you for being patient with me. I love you for that. So here is Jim. Jim. He says, so what's the story with this? My friends said that I should have known. I started dating a really beautiful and seductive woman in March. The relationship got put on hold. Yep. Haven't they all? During the lockdown period, we had a lot of Zoom sessions, and I wasn't sure why I was beginning to lose interest. Now we're back to seeing each other in person, and there's nothing. This has never happened to me. Have I changed during the lockdown? Are my criteria different now? Have my values changed? What could have happened here? Well, Jim, honey, you were cooking. You were peeling the onions. And the more you peeled, the more you didn't like what you saw. And I'm not accusing this woman of wearing a mask. It's just that this is the dance. This is the dance of love. And if you make it through one layer, you think, ooh, I want to keep going, peeling this onion, finding out who this person is. Is there any value? Is there a person of substance here? Is there a person beyond the beauty? Because the beauty fades, stuff sags. You see people in more and different and stressful circumstances, and maybe you don't like it. Maybe this person turns out to be dishonest. And I'm not talking about thievery and criminality. I'm talking about, were you really wearing a mask? Were you posing as someone with ethics and faith and values, and you only did that? It was only lipstick to sell the pig. And you didn't like what you saw once you got into it. Oh my gosh, have you ever seen something that absolutely looks delicious and you end up spitting it out and then you go brush your teeth because whatever was in that thing is nasty? You didn't have any kind of sudden adult growth spurt. There's not been a seismic shift in your growth and development. But the onion metaphor is the reason for all of this. You saw a honeybee. You were a honeybee. Go into what you thought was a beautiful flower full of nectar, and nada. Nothing to get excited about here. So she's gorgeous, and she may have been trained very well by her experiences into believing that the package is all there is. I don't know about you, but I get excited over Christmas packages. They're beautifully wrapped. I love my birthday gifts. But what I'm really interested in is what's inside there. Is it something that reflects that someone's really been thoughtful about me? My dearest friend just sent me this incredible lap quilt. She has such skill. It's so amazing. And she was brokenhearted because she knew my brother, almost as long as I did. And she couldn't do anything to help me. So she offered me this beautiful gift, which will be part of my life forever. Now, that's the kind of person you want to be associated with. Nurturing, loving, caring. Make no sense about it, this chick is tough. She was a guidance counselor in a high school for a very long time, and she experienced some very difficult things. But you peel away that onion of tough, no nonsense. Don't even think about doing that, Claudia. And then you get this lap quilt in the mail. You don't think, Jim, that you would ever get a lap quilt from this woman or any gift that was really meaningful and reflective of her knowledge of you. This is long-term stuff. This isn't just, oh, isn't that nice? This is, this person understands me. This person loves me. This person pays attention to me. Let's look at what people say about their relationships. Now, hot women who were in high school, they didn't turn out to be really satisfied with their lives. And why is that? Because the long-term outcome of women who mature early is not as positive as for the women who mature later, those of us who are late bloomers. But look at the guys who mature early, they have more leadership opportunities. They get more positive feedback on their personal traits. The women don't do that. It's all about how we look. Yeah. So women who've received a lot of attention for their beauty may not develop other qualities, those lap quilt qualities. And that's why it's really important, Jim, if you have young women in your life, emphasize their qualities over their looks. Other people will always tell them how beautiful they are. You tell them how smart they are, how hardworking they are, how they're really going to make a difference in life. They're going to be that person who makes that splash in the ocean. Let's make sure we train each other in really healthy ways. I love the fact that you reached out and you said, what's going on? Because a lot of people right now are listening to this and say, I really find this interesting because I've had this experience before. And now I understand the why behind the what. So it's a good thing that you had this experience because now we get to share it with you and now you have more understanding. The next time, you may not look or be as attracted to the va-va-va-voom kind of girl. But don't discount her because she may have lap quilt qualities. You know what I mean? So be careful about judging one another from how we look because it's really all about the gifts inside. You're listening to the Dr. Claudia Show because you find answers to your questions here. We'll be right back.
Dr. Claudia wants to hear from you. Ask your question. 833-400-5050. That's 833-400-5050. Or go online at drclaudia.net and click on the Ask Me button.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. Here's what our customers had to say.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
If you're testing your blood sugar 4 or more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, a CGM can help you. It's accurate, easy to use, and if you have Medicare, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Plus, get free shipping of your new CGM, and we can bill Medicare for you.
Honestly, I had my doubts, but that new CGM is painless.
Call now. 800-712-8002. 800-712-8002. 800-712-8002. That's 800-712-8002.
Welcome to the Dr. Claudia Show. Dr. Claudia is ready to answer your questions. Call now, 833-400-5050. Here's Dr. Claudia.
Well, you know that this life, the rules are always changing. I mean, every day, the rules change. It's so hard to keep up with what little thing is going on next. Oh, I didn't know the rules changed about that. So you hear me say, if you lived with me, what are the rules now? What are the rules for today? And now, apparently, when we watch football, the rules are we need to be lectured to about how horrible we are. We all are. We're all painted with the same brush. So after watching football, and I was really happy that the Chiefs won. Yay. They're the only game I'm going to watch this year because I cannot tolerate any more aggravation. There's another rule. I am done. I am done with being blamed for things I had nothing to do with. And my husband says, there's got to be something psychological about all of this. What's going to be the impact of every time we turn on the television, we get lectured to? We're aware of this. We've been aware of this forever. Claudia, you have always worked in places other people wouldn't drive through. And whereas other people talk about, oh, it's so terrible, terrible, you've been in the thick of this until you opened your private practice. And then every year you did at least 2 assessments for free for kids who couldn't afford it. Kids who you knew where they were going to end up. No wonder you're so angry about this. But I thought more carefully, and I said, saturation. These folks don't realize, and they have every right to do what they want to, and so do I. But let's look at this concept of saturation. What happens with the sponge and water? And it gets so full, it can't hold anymore. Yeah, you remember when your little kids were learning how to pour? Half of the carton of milk was on the table. Until they realized that there's only so much that glass can hold, and then it's a disaster. So not only are they saturating us with this, they are desensitizing us to it. Okay, let me tell you what. Let's close your eyes and not if you're driving. Don't do that. What happens when we girls have cooked forever and we're accustomed to reaching into the pot of boiling water and grabbing a noodle to see if it's cooked the way we want it to be? We call that cook's fingers. We don't seem to get burned from it. We've just developed a desensitivity to it. I'm no longer sensitive to it. I can pick up something hot and throw it in the sink. I can pluck my tea bag out of the cup and launch it into the sink. It doesn't hurt. So, looking at that same concept, are these people with their continual beating of that drum and lecturing us and telling us how terrible we are, what is that doing ultimately to their cause? Once you're saturated, you don't hear it anymore. Maybe we won't be as motivated to help, to contribute, to change our behavior. Because it doesn't feel good when someone continues to blame you for something that you had nothing to do. Now, I'm back living in the part of the country where my people were driven from. I've never looked around at European, also known as white, people and thought, how terrible you are. You didn't have anything to do with that. My mother lived in abject poverty and deprivation and horror as a Native American. She couldn't even work in the town of Okmulgee, Oklahoma, because she wasn't allowed. When she married my dad, his family didn't talk to them for 5 years because he married a heathen. That was in the 40s. That wasn't even 100 years ago. We have to respect and acknowledge history, and then we get to move on. But not if these grievances are going to continue to go on. Of course, there are things that need to be fixed. There's always something that needs to be fixed. Have you ever owned a home? There's always something. Have you ever had kids? There's always something. It's the nature of life. So instead of all the demonstrations, instead of all the T-shirts, folks need to do what those retired athletes, the Chicago Bears, there's about a dozen of them. They got together. They took over an old liquor store and they turned it into a grocery store. And they're hiring teenagers. And the whole thing has cost them about $500,000. And the changes it is going to bring to that neighborhood, to those kids who have jobs now, honor, dignity, and the letters of recommendation, please. Because most of the time, you have to have had a job in order to get a job. What kind of experience have you had? Well, this will be my first job. Yeah, you're not tried and true. I'm not taking any chances with you. And what we're finding out of University of North Carolina, yay, go Christopher. University of North Carolina has done a study in Baltimore, and they said if 20% of the liquor stores and establishments where alcohol is consumed could be shut down. I know this means people are going to be losing something. It's also the nature of life. Necessary losses. The baby's got to grow up. It doesn't need a crib anymore, right? That's a necessary loss. It tells you that something big is happening. If they could reduce the amount of liquor stores, it would probably reduce the amount of murders by about 20 people. I think that was the number. 20 fewer murders are $28 million less in county and city costs. And please, the misery index, the pain of that all. Wouldn't it be great to write a check for personal pain and suffering? So those Chicago Bears, those retired athletes, they are putting their money and their efforts and their name where their belief systems are. They're changing that neighborhood. And all of those people who come through there and work, they're changing the trajectory of their lives. What would their flight path have looked like if they hadn't had this job? There we are. They're the splash in the ocean. The ripple effects are positive. They're wonderful. They're healthy. So if this movement is coming to your community, support it. I realize that if you're a business owner and you own a liquor store, and you're probably on the chopping block to be one of the folks whose business license isn't renewed because of how the impact of alcohol in violent crime has caused devastation in communities. These statistics are staggering. I put this article up on my Facebook page, Dr. Claudia McCulloch, MCCULLOCH. Let's stop being emotional and let's plug in our common sense, our efforts, our energies, and be authentic about this. All this talk is doing nothing. There are hundreds of young men who before this month is over, they're going to be either shot or killed in Chicago and Detroit. When people are wearing T-shirts that say their names, read their names, I want those mothers' sons' names to be read and said. I want the Black men who have died in wars, their names to be read and said. The Black police officers, I want their names to be read and said. Firefighters, I want everyone's names to be read and said. But as my father would say, don't just stand there. Do something. Now that's wisdom for the ages. This is the Dr. Claudia Show, and we're going to be right back with more questions.
Dr. Claudia is ready to answer your questions. Call now, 833-400-5050. That's 833-400-5050.
What kind of career are you looking for? Do you dream of using your creative talents in the movie business? How about the advertising world? Or would you rather work in fashion? At Academy of Art University, we can help you get the art and design skills and experiences that employers want. Hundreds of top companies in the Bay Area and around the world have hired graduates from the Academy. You'll be trained by professional faculty members that have worked in the industry, so your education is practical and focused on what real-world companies want. You can get your degree at our San Francisco campus or anywhere online. Do what you want to do with your life. Call right now to get more information.
800-811-4169. 800-811-4169. 800-811-4169. That's 800-811-4169.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 800-506-6740. 800-506-6740. That's 800-506-6740.
Welcome to the Dr. Claudia Show. Dr. Claudia is ready to answer your questions. Call now, 833-400-5050. Here's Dr. Claudia.
This is the Dr. Claudia Show, and we are the best self-help around. You don't have to read a book or go to a workshop or any of that kind of stuff. All you have to do is listen. Maybe you're working, maybe you're home with the kids. Yeah, returning to the kitchen classroom. There we are. I saw a great article about what those of us who work with kids know, and that play is therapeutic for children. And if your kids are stuck at the computer with their virtual classrooms, you are going to need to take some action about that. If you have other kids in the neighborhood, you know, the kids that your kids probably play with from time to time, you need to take maybe about a half an hour. Get the kids together. Obviously, the other parents are going to participate in this, and have some kind of game together. Maybe it's races. Maybe it's basketball. Maybe it's badminton. I don't know, anything to get them out and physically engaging with each other. This is a great antidepressant. And if you do it every day at a scheduled time, what do you think is going to happen to your kids? Their moods are going to lift. Their moods will be elevated. Why is that? You know me. I'm all about the why behind the what. It's because they have something to look forward to. It doesn't have to be a 2-week trip to Hawaii or the Grand Canyon or somewhere exotic and expensive. Sometimes if you make pudding in the afternoon, you know you can look forward to that as dessert. It's the small things in life. The very small things in life. And for kids, those small things are giant, really giant. If they can look forward to getting together with their pals, being outside, running around, playing kickball, playing dodgeball, playing tetherball. Does anybody remember that? That's the pole with the rope and the ball at the end, and you swing it around, and it's aggression. It's letting aggression vent. That sitting just enhances the anxiety. Even in a regular classroom, they've got other kids to hang out with. They can look at them. Somebody drops a pencil on the floor. They can pick it up. There can be that little tender exchange of, here you go. They don't have any of that now. So depression-proof your kids. And don't think this is just for now. You know, don't you, that every time you do something really meaningful like this, these kids code it. They take it right in and they file it away. And one day when their kid has a broken arm and they can't play on the baseball team, you say, well, what else can you do to contribute to the baseball team? Why? Because you learned how to handle these situations from your parents. You know that kid needs to get out there and still contribute to the extent that they can. Give them something to look forward to. And it's got to be outside in nature, because nature, by her very nature, is healing. Just a thought. See if it works for you. Might not work for you. But you understand the concept. You've got to give your children something to look forward to. Yeah, I know you don't have anything to look forward to either, but you're an adult and I expect you to cope. So let me just mow you down right there with that. Here's Jason. Jason says we've got 2 sets of grandparents nearby. You think that would be a blessing, but think again. They are so intensely competitive with one another that it's becoming a very serious problem. I thought they were going to start throwing fists several weekends ago when we needed a sitter for date night. I really don't want to talk with any of them about this. It's just too embarrassing and it'll end up in a big fight. How do we handle this kind of behavior? Our baby is 5 months old. We've got a long way to go. Well, you're going to have to help them not so much re-engage their anger and their competitiveness, but you're going to have to help them organize it. Put a lid on it. Send them every week. Now, sometimes I say, write them a letter, explain this to them. That's not going to work. You're going to have to take charge because they're so overwhelmed with emotion, they can't think straight either. Picture me in the grocery store. Okay, send them an on-call schedule each week. Now, don't call it that because that sounds pretty demeaning and frankly like you're taking advantage of them. Now, you're going to rotate the grands from week to week. Next week, your parents will be on call for whatever you might need. The following week, it will be her parents. Now, here we go, because you're at the teething stage. Oh, goody. Well, I see parents going, oh my gosh, no. Because what we know as parents is that when you have teething, you have a greater chance of those ear infections because the eustachian tubes, those drainage tubes in the ears, they're a little bit shorter and they're a little flatter and it doesn't really drain the ear. So when kids have all that mucus and crying and all the snotty stuff that goes on, they can't really drain their ears. And the whole system is connected and then you get an ear infection. So this is great timing. Now, I don't think you have to do anything fancy. If mama needs to go to the market and baby is sleeping and baby's had a rough night because baby's been teething, call the grandma on call and ask if she's available to come over and sit while you go get this done. Maybe you want to sneak out for a dinner or a coffee. What an incredible luxury. We did not have any of that. We did all the parenting stuff without a net, and most of you out there now are parenting without a net because the average family is spread over 2,000 miles. But I'm thinking a lot of that's going to change as a result of how much people realize what they had been doing before the lockdown and how unsatisfying life was. Now, what's going to happen? Swear to you, hand to God, these grandparents are going to get down to the minute. Well, I spent 2 hours and 17 minutes with Joey this week. Stay out of that. You can't do anything about them and their bad selves because they have lost their minds. Now, if a grandparent is not available 1 week, too bad, so sad they don't get that week back. You are not going to micromanage them. If anybody calls and whines because they can't see baby Joey this week, you just say, Grandma Betty, I have a lot of confidence that you can handle this. Now, it's not your job to make them happy or fix their problems. Anybody else find themselves in this situation, or have you been in this situation? If you have any wisdom, any hacks that you use to get it under control, let us know. But most of us are saying, I'd love to have this problem. Jason, really, you are the owner of the good news here, because there are about 70 million grandparents in America, ranging in age from 30 to 110. 110. About 75,000 folks join this grandparents club every month. So enjoy.
Dr. Claudia is ready to answer your questions. Call now, 833-400-5050. That's 833-400-5050.
What kind of career are you looking for? Do you dream of using your creative talents in the movie business? How about the advertising world? Or would you rather work in fashion? At Academy of Art University, we can help you get the art and design skills and experiences that employers want. Hundreds of top companies in the Bay Area and around the world have hired graduates from the Academy. You'll be trained by professional faculty members that have worked in the industry, so your education is practical and focused on what real-world companies want. You can get your degree at our San Francisco campus or anywhere online. Do what you want to do with your life. Call right now to get more information.
800-811-4169. 800-811-4169. 800-811-4169. That's 800-811-4169.
You're listening to The Dr. Claudia Show. Your life, your relationships. A SmileCom Media production.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and catch the bus. Text and miss your stop. Wait. Text and be late to work. Sorry, I'm late. Text and work. Text and pretend to work. Text and act surprised when someone calls you out for not working.
Who, me?
Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey.
Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome to the Dr. Claudia Show. We're just tickled pink to have you with us. We know your time is important and precious, and we love to spend it with you. So come on in and sit down. Let's talk about your life and your relationships with your family, friends, neighbors, your coworkers, your boss, and the most important relationship of all, the one you have with yourself. I'm licensed psychologist Dr. Claudia McCulloch, answering your questions. Give me a call, 833-400-5050. I'm nice. I won't bite. I won't embarrass you. You don't even have to use your real name. Or you can go online at drclaudia.net and click on the Ask Me button and send me a question. On Facebook, I'm at Dr. Claudia McCulloch, MCCULLOCH. Cha-cha-cha. Don't forget that CH part, because if it's not there, you're not going to find me. And you know how finicky Facebook is. Okay. This is a scary, scary, scary situation. You likely know someone who's experienced it, or if you are unfortunate enough to have experienced it, here's some real guidance for you. Here's Augie. Augie says, our 15-year-old has been stealing from us. Apparently, it's been going on for a while, and it wasn't until my wife, his mother, noticed that her favorite earrings had gone missing that we figured out what was going on. And how did we figure that out? We installed a very small camera in our bedroom, and sure enough, he was in there rooting around for the extra cash we kept and keep in case of emergencies. He spread out all $3,200 on the bed, appeared to divide the bills into denominations, picked a few bills from each pile, and put it all back very neatly. I was so disgusted when I saw him do a happy dance. I want to react with just the right intervention on this. I feel it is a very, very serious offense. Any ideas on how to do this in such a way as to make it teach him a lesson? Oh, yes, I do. Because I was a child and adolescent psychologist in Los Angeles for 25 years in private practice. And it wasn't so much that these kinds of kids were my clients. This was the kind of question I would get when I would answer the phone and say, Dr. McCulloch. And this voice on the other end would say, can I just ask you a question? I never, ever, ever turned anyone down. Because if they were brave enough to call, I needed to honor that with some time. Because every single time you do something that helps a kid make a healthier decision, you're improving the world. There's that splash in the water, those ripples going out. Now, it may be ugly at the beginning, but it gets pretty. It's just like renovation. You renovate your house, it's a holy mess. And you just keep looking forward to the day that that bathroom is done. That den has been painted and renovated. You see, when you can catapult yourself into the future and see how everything looks when it's done, you can see that place of peace and comfort in your family. You dump dopamine. The brain's not stupid. It'll dump that reward chemical that says, go ahead, do it. Come on, let's do it. So he's demonstrating criminal behavior, slam dunk, don't sugarcoat it. That's it. That's what it's called. He's a criminal. The question is he going to stay a criminal? Augie, you are going to have to catapult yourself into the future when your son is an upstanding, satisfied, self-sufficient citizen. You're just going to have to get through this part. This is the labor pains of helping a human being become a human being. So, I was disturbed when you said how he did the happy dance, this dance of joy. He thought he was getting away from it. You know, you don't get away with anything. I've said before that when our son was a teenager, one Tuesday, and it only happened once, one Tuesday, he was mouthing off to me. I didn't say anything. I waited. I only had to wait until Friday. He comes to me and I'm mashing potatoes. And he said, can I have $20 for the movies? I looked at him and I said, may I, right? We can't help ourselves. We're all grammar Karens, right? And I said, I can't do that. I won't do that. I won't do that. And his eyes got as big as saucers. And he said, why not? And I said, because you were ugly and unkind to me on Tuesday, and I'm not going to give you the money. And he said, well, you didn't say anything about it then. Well, you're right. How many people drive drunk? How many people are out there texting? They have the optimism bias. Oh, if it hasn't before, chances are it's not going to happen. Oh, no. It will happen. You will run out of luck. Luck is not this ever-fulfilled barrel. You can run out. You will run out. And when you do run out, you are going to alter the path of someone else's life. So before he gets to that point, Augie, of altering someone else's life, this is what you need to do. Whether or not you are comfortable doing it, that really doesn't even matter. You're a parent. This is your job. So I want you to stop into the police department, talk to the watch commander, or if it's a large enough force that they have someone who deals with youthful offenders. That's a nice way of describing kids who are well on their way to the big house. Explain what you saw. Share the video. Share all of your feelings about it, the disappointment, the rage, the worry, the concern, the fear, the disgust. And don't forget to include mom's feelings on this. I don't want her going into the police department with you. I want it to be a mano exchange, if you know what I mean. Explain how mom is feeling ill about all of this. Now, if they see the video, they're going to interpret it from their professional perspective. They know where this goes. They're going to be able to look at that video and pick out aspects of his behavior and interpret them in the criminal lingo that you don't know about. Now, cops don't get much credit for their prevention work, so they're going to like this. They're going to feel like they can knock a criminal off of their path towards destruction. Now, you ask them about their approach and tell them not to hold back. If this was your kid, or if you had a chance to do this for some other kid, what would you do? Now, go home and discuss the recommendations with mom. Now, I don't know you or your child, but what I know is this behavior is very rewarding and very satisfying for this young man, and he's violating the very people he is supposed to love and respect and work with and trust, but be willing to press charges. He'll be shocked and shaken, but this shock and shaken is nothing compared to what's going to happen to him later. Because if he doesn't experience the true nature of the consequences, he's not going to code it. He's not going to own it. It really explained a lot to us when at one point our son said, if I don't experience the pain, I won't learn the lesson. Keep this in mind. We're going to come back. I'm not done chewing on this. There's more to talk about here, and that is the plan to nip this criminal behavior in the bud and show this young man he can take the path of joy or he can take the path of pain. Because at this point, it is totally and completely, Augie, up to him. This is the Dr. Claudia Show.
Dr. Claudia wants to hear from you. Ask your question. 833-400-5050. That's 833-400-5050. Or go online at drclaudia.net and click on the Ask Me button.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. Here's what our customers had to say.
Painless. No more more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
If you're testing your blood sugar 4 or more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, a CGM can help you. It's accurate, easy to use, and if you have Medicare, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Plus, get free shipping of your new CGM, and we can bill Medicare for you.
Honestly, I had my doubts, but that new CGM is painless.
Call now. 800-712-8002. 800-712-8002. 800-712-8002. That's 800-712-8002.
What kind of career are you looking for? Do you dream of using your creative talents in the movie business? How about the advertising world? Or would you rather work in fashion? At Academy of Art University, we can help you get the art and design skills and experiences that employers want. Hundreds of top companies in the Bay Area and around the world have hired graduates from the Academy. You'll be trained by professional faculty members that have worked in the industry, so your education is practical and focused on what real-world companies want. You can get your degree at our San Francisco campus or anywhere online. Do what you want to do with your life. Call right now to get more information.
800-811-4169. 800-811-4169. 800-811-4169. That's 800-811-4169.
Welcome to the Dr. Claudia Show. Dr. Claudia is ready to answer your questions. Call now, 833-400-5050. Here's Dr. Claudia.
Well, here at the Dr. Claudia Show, no matter how tough it is, we insist on being the land of the real here. I call it the land of the real and the home of the sane, because I subscribe to two concepts in psychology, and one is cognitive behavioral therapy. You change the way you think, which changes the way you feel, which changes the way you behave. And that's what I'm asking Augie to do. His son is 15. He has been stealing from the family and enjoying it. And he wants to arrange the response that gives the most bang for the buck. And here's where my next concept that I subscribe to comes into play. Reality therapy. The reality is this young man, Augie's son, is well on his way to criminal behavior because he likes this. It's rewarding. Instead of coming to parents and saying, it's time for me to learn how to manage money, it's time for me to work, it's time for me to work around the home until I can work outside the home, help me with that. Look at that. When you teach your children to reach out to you because you're a RAN parent, you're receptive, approachable, and non-judgmental, they can come to you and say, I want money. I prefer it not to be handed to me. I prefer to work for it. But if they do, and they do come to you and say, I want money, then you say, well, money happens when you work, and I want you to exercise that work muscle. So let's sit down and negotiate. You have the serious table, and you sit down and have the serious conversation about how they're going to make it possible for this kid to get money. Remember, every time you teach them something, it's like a recipe for life that you're handing them. But you're not really handing it to them because teaching and learning is tough. Ask any teacher. But you are their first teacher. You are their most important and influential teacher. So teach them that you are the first option to help them solve their problems. You better not be solving their problems for them. No. because not all problems can be solved. Just because you can ask a question does not mean that there is an answer. But Augie, I have answers for you. Teenagers, and I just talked about our own when he was a teenager, they are experiential people. They want to experience it. Yeah, that's why you get the calls in the middle of the night. That's why when they grow up and then they're safe enough to tell you the kinds of stuff they get into, your hair just gets a little grayer. Now, if the cops want to come and arrest him, let it happen. I'm going to repeat that for those people who stopped breathing and stopped listening because they're so shocked. If the cops want to come to your home and arrest him, then let it happen. If you don't want any younger children in the family to see this, then make it possible for them to get away from this. Understand that you are working with the police on this. The next time it happens, you may not be allowed to have any input. It will be a neighborhood spectacle. You wear your face of neutrality. Hey, this kid is not the child of the neighbors. If the neighbors ask, you tell them the truth. They just might, Augie, rent your strength and courage and your commitment to being this kid's father, and they'll appreciate you. Now, if you feel like you can't do that whole arrest scene, then walk him into the police department, and then they'll handcuff him and place him under arrest. Because honestly, he committed a crime. Let's never get away from that. And the charges are appropriate. Give the cops permission to do it. It's a production to drive home the point that he is a criminal. He has chosen this criminality. There's that whole reality therapy thing. Facing the consequences, developing a plan to right the ship again. Now, he's likely to have to appear before a judge. Good. The judge will be impressed with your actions. They might want to be lenient. It's time for you to step forward and say, Your Honor, we need him to be treated as the criminal that he is. It's painful consequences. He's got to have painful consequences because he stole from the family, a violation of family trust, love, security, which warrants a thoughtful and deliberate punishment. You don't want the judge to toss the ball back into your court. That's not your job. You don't want to be the one to deliver the judgment. You may be the one to supervise the judgment. And at some point, the judge needs to see this kid back to say, how did you do? Did you provide restitution? Let me see your paperwork for community service. Mom and Dad, what did you think about his performance? Did he give you a genuine effort and a positive attitude? What have I said and said and said? A genuine effort and a positive attitude will get you hired anywhere. Now, if I had my way, the judge may recommend that he lose his digital devices until the restitution is paid. Another way to bring home the point that when you're in jail, you don't get cell phones. Well, at least legally. But do it now, Augie. Do whatever it takes. You have to be the adult and you have to be in charge. There will be those people who say, Dr. Claudia, that's way too much. No, it isn't. He is 15 years old. He is well beyond the age of reason. He should be socialized by now. This is a mistake. This is a mistake that can be corrected. This is an eraser, if you want to think about it this way, Augie. Before he develops a record, before he develops a reputation with the police department and the community, show him that you are going to fight him for his life. Because with some kids, that's what it comes down to being. It's ugly, but do it.
Dr. Claudia is ready to answer your questions. Call now, 833-400-5050. That's 833-400-5050.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 800-506-6740. 800-506-6740. That's 800-506-6740.
Welcome to the Dr. Claudia Show. Dr. Claudia is ready to answer your questions. Call now, 833-400-5050. Here's Dr. Claudia.
We are having a great time here at the Dr. Claudia Show. Well, it's going to get better because, we get some really serious topics. Yeah, the Dr. Claudia family of friends. And thank you all once again for loving on me when my brother died. I appreciate that. And if you ever want to reach out and let me know what you might be experiencing in terms of those kinds of things, this is the time of year where we really think about all of our loss. And it just so happens that my brother's death on August 21st was very close to September 11th, and hearing all these sorrowful tales really percolates that pain. So, yeah, let's move on to something funny. I saw this and I thought, well, I better warn, producer Mike. But a new study says eating a lot of processed foods can shorten your life. Just letting you know, in case somebody has to take over the show today. Do you eat a lot of processed foods? Do you even know what they are?
Oh, I know what they are. Oh, they're tasty.
Aren't they, though?
I try not to eat a lot of processed foods.
Uh-oh. Oh, yeah. What did you just say? What's the word that you just said?
A lot.
No.
I know the word. I just don't want to bring it up.
Yeah, you want to escape the wrath of Dr. Claudia. We do not try.
That's right.
Remember what Yoda said.
Yeah, that's right.
We do not try.
No
you
try.
either do it or you don't do it.
So I eat processed foods and sometimes I don't. How about that?
Okay, I'll accept it. What's your favorite? That's my dad's
processed?
word. Yeah.
I probably go for the chips. The Doritos, that type of stuff.
Uh-huh. But is that really processed?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, potato chips.
Yeah.
They're not, okay, so they're fried.
Because
you gotta cook stuff.
Doritos, I think, they take yes, there's corn in it, but it's a mixture. It's a concoction of chip.
Did you know that pork rinds, pork rinds really are what they are, pork skins. They are one of the healthiest snacks you can eat.
Really? I never got into that.
Okay. I thought, liar, liar, pants on fire. When I was in the grocery store, I'm standing there with pork rinds and I'm reading it. And there's there aren't a lot of processed elements to it.
No, but it's a lot of fat, right? Just a bunch of fat.
Yeah, it is, but it's a lot of protein. So you got to pick your poison.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But now that Labor Day is over, we're starting to focus on Thanksgiving. Every month that comes around, the first day I think, okay, I wonder what next month is going to look like, because I'm just going to hunker down. It's like labor and delivery. Just hunker down until I can get something I really want. So, okay, here we go. We're having Thanksgiving coming up. And Halloween, of course. Is Halloween really a holiday? Okay, it's a thing. But just in time for Halloween, Nestle Toll House has Hocus Pocus cookie dough. It's on my grocery list. I don't know where I'm going to go to get it, but inside each 14-ounce package is an oatmeal peanut butter cookie dough with chocolate morsels and candy-coated gems. Now, the gems, like your kids need more sugar. They come in orange, purple, and yellow. Now, it's an homage to the immortal Sanderson sisters from the movie Hocus Pocus, Winifred, Sarah, and Mary, which was a blast. They show it every year. But if you're not a fan of the movie, the Fallen Leaves, so that's FALL apostrophe N, Fallen Leaves, cookie dough with candy pieces that look like fall leaves are coming out. Little Debbie, have you seen this? I'm sure you've seen this. Her oatmeal cream cookie cereal, stop that. Just check out the sugar before you feed it to the kids. So give me a break. Listen to these two things. Tell me, raise your hand, Mike, if you're going to love it or not. Mountain Dew is coming out with a gingerbread flavor. Okay, he's choking himself. All right. Moon pies, yes, they're still around. Okay, moved to Tennessee. Okay, and it was in the grocery store. And I saw moon pies because I never saw moon pies in California. It was like eating wax. They're horrible. They're just absolutely horrible to my palate. My producer's going, "You're horrible." Now, they've been around since 1917, so there must be something about them that I'm just not appreciating. But you knew this was going to happen. You knew it. Pumpkin spiced moon pies. Yes or no, Mike? No, okay, he says no.
I'm a purist.
Don't mess with my Doritos or my moon pie.
Don't mess with the moon pie. The moon pie is so good already. It's got that graham cracker crust, and I mean, it's a s'mores that's not toasted, essentially.
But the chocolate is so waxy and disgusting.
That's part of it.
Oh, that's
part
of the
It pleases the palate.
It does not please the palate.
Because it sticks to the roof of the mouth, and you can ever so slightly take the tongue over the top of the roof of the mouth and feel a film that is just glides across.
I'm gagging. Okay, this is like a dog eating peanut butter, right?
It's like a freshly waxed car that you put the top of your hand across, and it's so smooth.
Oh, yeah, that's that sensual experience. Okay, I get it. I'm going to answer Brianna's question really fast. She says we have a wedding in November as long as the virus continues to go down. That's not my concern, really. I know it may sound ridiculous when compared to the serious challenges that others are having, but my husband just can't dance. The man has no rhythmic movement ability whatsoever. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry for you. He can golf, but he can't dance. I really want to go and enjoy myself. He just wants to be invisible. He doesn't want to go to dance classes. So here's the deal. YouTube. YouTube has an answer for just about anything. I learned how to clean my oven with YouTube because I had no idea the oven was actually blue because the people who lived here had no idea about cleaning anything. Do an online search. Just go to Google, dancing videos, YouTube. It'll all come up. You don't have to put any, apps on your machine, your phone or whatever. Pick two and ask him which one he would like to go for. Go into an agreement. He has to agree to dance with you at least twice. Don't whine and complain and go, "Oh, come on, just one more." Don't do that. Because if you ever get a chance to go with him again, you need to be credible and reputable. He's got to know he can trust you, that you're going to stick with your agreements. So it's going to be a blast teaching him how to dance in the living room. Probably a little wine would help. But whatever you negotiate, YouTube is great for teaching you things that you wouldn't want to do in public. So you need a little experience before you get out there. You just never know. He may develop some kind of rhythm. He may find a dance step that really meets his needs. So try it that way. YouTube videos to dance with, and I think you guys are really going to have a great time. So let's see. There is a question here from Jacqueline. She says, now that I've been trapped here in San Francisco for going on 4 months, there's no escaping the fact that I really need to take a week or so and organize this place. There's no time like the present, right? I mean, how many more chances am I going to get to be this miserable? I avoided starting this project because I thought any minute now I'll be going back to work. Well, no, not happening until 2 months from now. Just got the official word. Okay, how smart is that? Going back to work on November 9th, just in time for the holidays and right at the start of the flu season. I really have to Marie Kondo place, but I don't really like her process. Do you have to have something that brings you joy. Now, I don't want to get involved with the emotions of it. I need something super easy to do. I have got a plan for you, Jacqueline. So when we come back, I'm going to give you like 2 or 3 easy steps, might be 4, don't let me lie. And you will be able to get your life under control before you get back out there in the world. Living in San Francisco, how are you enjoying that air? Oh my. This is the Dr. Claudia Show.
Dr. Claudia is ready to answer your questions. Call now, 833-400-5050. That's 833-400-5050.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. Here's what our customers had to say.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
If you're testing your blood sugar 4 or more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, a CGM can help you. It's accurate, easy to use, and if you have Medicare, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Plus, get free shipping of your new CGM, and we can bill Medicare for you.
Honestly, I had my doubts, but that new CGM is painless.
Call now. 800-712-8002. 800-712-8002. 800-712-8002. That's 800-712-8002.
What kind of career are you looking for? Do you dream of using your creative talents in the movie business? How about the advertising world? Or would you rather work in fashion? At Academy of Art University, we can help you get the art and design skills and experiences that employers want. Hundreds of top companies in the Bay Area and around the world have hired graduates from the Academy. You'll be trained by professional faculty members that have worked in the industry, so your education is practical and focused on what real-world companies want. You can get your degree at our San Francisco campus or anywhere online. Do what you want to do with your life. Call right now to get more information.
800-811-4169. 800-811-4169. 800-811-4169. That's 800-811-4169.
Welcome to the Dr. Claudia Show. Dr. Claudia is ready to answer your questions. Call now, 833-400-5050. Here's Dr. Claudia.
Thank you for joining us here at the Dr. Claudia Show. This would be no fun without you. Picking up from where we left off with Jacqueline, who's been trapped in her apartment in San Francisco for 4 months. I know this. Our son lives in San Francisco. A couple of days ago, he sent us a picture that was taken at 9 o'clock in the morning. It was the most eerie thing. The air, the sky was this orange, brown, dirty, nasty stuff. And he goes, but that's okay because the air is great close to the ground. And I thought, what are you going to do? Crawl to the grocery store? Oh, go figure. So we have Jacqueline, who's been trapped for 4 months in San Francisco, and she's just made a decision. She's got a plan. All right. And she's going to clean her place up, get rid of stuff. So this is a really great opportunity for her to reboot her life. I get lots of people telling me the kinds of projects they're working on. The most popular seems to be the garage because we can't get our cars into the garage. But I understand this whole process of Marie Kondo and this whole thing of bringing me joy. If that was the case, probably everything in the kitchen would go. It doesn't bring me joy, but I do love to cook. So we probably throw stuff out occasionally. And if you're pretty decisive about making decisions, Jacqueline, you are going to find this to be easier. I have this little cup of stones, just rocks that my son gave us along the way when he found something interesting. They're absolutely garbage. They should be out in the yard, but they mean something to me because when a child offers you something, the leaf of or a petal of a flower or something they find interesting, you treat that like the gold that it is because that's really all they have to offer you at that time. And that's why I keep the rocks. And once I kick the bucket, somebody's going to come in and go, "What's crazy? This woman's crazy. She's got these little rocks all over her office." If you're an indecisive person, know that indecisiveness is related to hoarding. If you have a family that has a couple of indecisive people in it, chances are that gene is going to eventually translate to someone and it's going to become a hoarding disorder. Now, my therapeutic intervention for that is to watch an episode of Hoarders because it's the real deal and you can see what happens in extreme cases. Now, in light of your need to get going by making decisions you may not be comfortable with and embracing that, here are the guidelines. Here's the plan. Lean in and listen. Know that we never touch 80% of our stuff. The average home has over 300,000 items in it, and 25% of us have trouble getting rid of stuff. Our homes have nearly tripled in size over the past 40 years, and now we're spending billions of dollars on storage. Using that information will help you to be motivated to implement these guidelines. Look around at your problem spots. You can pick them up really easily. It's like it's something that's really dense. It's kind of dark over there in that corner. And I want you to go through that spot and find your things. Pull it all out, see what it looks like when it's brighter over there, and decide what you can throw away. Now, you throw away things that are broken, things that are not good enough to donate. They have no special meaning for you. They're not a family heirloom. I think that's what Marie Kondo was talking about in terms of the joy. If you're going, I'm not sure, then it's time for a trial separation. Put it away if you don't use it or notice it. For a month, it goes. Somebody else can use it. So it's gone, baby, gone. Now, if you have something that is of personal value to you, an heirloom, you either display it or you pack it up for when you move into somewhere else where you have display shelves. If it's really cumbersome, what if it's a grandfather clock? It doesn't work. Nobody can repair it. You go, this belonged to my great grandfather. It's not monetarily worth anything. Then you might want to take out the face and the hands and maybe have it framed. And that way you can pay honor to your relative. And it's a delightful conversational piece. If you're the kind of person who says, "Oh, I might need this later," chuck it. Give yourself a drop dead date and chuck it. If you don't use it in 6 months, you don't really need it. And there's always a Home Depot. Do you hear me? Look at the duplicates you have in your closet. What I want you to do now is to make room for more stylish, newer clothes. You need 2 raincoats, you need 1 to go to work in, and you need 1 to go out to the grocery store in. You don't need 6. I don't care how adorable they are. Give them to someone who can really use them and be delighted with them. Don't give trash away to organizations. That's some really bad juju right there. Be an adult, make healthy choices. Do not do all of this at once. You will get exhausted and you will fail. Have a plan. Have goals for the day. I'm going to do, not so much, I'm going to do my bedroom. I'm going to do the closet. Next day, you're going to do the shelves, or if you're going to break this up into half-day projects, make it easy for you to be successful for this. Now, have a reward waiting for you. Maybe it is that pudding I talked about. Maybe you'll go online and buy yourself something to replace what you've just gotten rid of, something that you can really use and enjoy and be delighted with. We Americans we are hoarders by our very nature. We are spending billions of dollars. That you heard me, billions with a B on self-storage. Now that seems to be ticking down because we're cleaning out our homes. We're looking at our budgets because we have time to. And we're saying, what is this $150 going to every month? It's on auto pay. Storage, $150 a month. You realize just what kind of cash that translates into over the years. But here's the thing. We suddenly stop paying attention to it. We just know that it's going to Sam's storage supply. 25% of us have 2-car garages, and we can really park a car in just one of them. And I dare say most of us can't get a car in either one of them. So I applaud your efforts. But if you don't take a rational approach, if you don't understand how you do things, you are going to struggle with this. But I have every confidence that you're going to get this done because you're motivated to clean up your space before you go back to work, Jacqueline. Okay, before we part ways today, here's a funny from Stephen Wright. How much do I love this guy's sense of humor? He says, last night I stayed up late playing poker with tarot cards. I got a full house and 4 people died. I hope you're laughing. This is the Dr.
Claudia Show educates and informs. No therapeutic relationship is established between the listener and Dr. Claudia. No liability will be assumed by Dr. Claudia or this station for any alleged damage. For professional help, please consult a specialist.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 800-506-6740. 800-506-6740. That's 800-506-6740.